Additionally, the bill will direct ACA and APD to work with stakeholders on a new Medicaid waiver focus individual transitioning into adulthood. The waiver priority would also avoid future crisis enrollment situations. This bill also provides $77 million in funding for new waiver enrollment for categories 3, 4, and 5. That is the bill, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Members, we do have 4 amendments, but they're not strike-alls. So is there anyone with questions on the bill? I have one, and I don't know if you'll know the answer, but if you do, it'd be great. And we can find it out if you don't. Do you have any sense for how many families that will be helping if this bill were to pass? Rough numbers.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for that question. From my understanding, and I can double check with staff, I think we're looking at between 600 and 700 people.
Okay. Thank you. Any members, any additional questions? Okay, if not, I'm gonna hand the gavel back to the Vice Chair for the First Amendment, which is mine.
Alrighty. Chairman Fine, you recognize explain barcode 441275.
So thank you, Mr. Vice Chair and members. What this amendment does is it recognizes that the wait list today is structured based on one person and where they rate, if you will, in their needs for services. But as this bill moved through the process, I had someone in this who has to deal with these issues come to me and said, some of us have more than one child who may have special needs. And if you think about it, and I'm not trying to minimize it, but if you think about it as low, medium, and high, 2 lows probably equals 1 medium or 1 high, if you think about it that way. And while it's got to be very difficult to have to deal with these challenges, if you have 1 child, 2 or more, and sometimes you've got more than 2, can have an effect. So what this amendment does is it would include individuals in category 6 who have a sibling in category 6 or above among the group for iBudget enrollment under the bill. It factors in the fact families that may have more than 1 child, and that is the amendment.
All right, seeing no amendments to the amendment, members, are there any questions related to the amendment? No. Is there any public testimony related to this amendment? Seeing none, members, any debate? Seeing no debate, Chairman Fine, you're recognized to close on this amendment.
Thank you. And just so folks have a sense for what this is, this amendment will affect 316 families who have this. This is not something that happens, once in a billion kind of situation. 316 families who would not otherwise make it on to this clearing of the wait list will as a result of this amendment. With that, I close.
Chairman Fine, having closed without objection, show the amendment adopted. I will now pass the gavel back over to Chairman Fine.
Thank you. Next, we'll take up amendment barcode 915833 by Representative Buchanan. You're recognized to explain your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, Amendment 2, and thank you for that First Amendment, Chairman. Amazing work you're doing with that. Amendment 2 tasks ACA rather than APD with submitting the report on the new waiver system, of which in any event, ACA would be involved with the creation of a new waiver. And so this amendment will be one in which they both will work together in putting that together. Nothing changes there, just as it relates to the reporting aspect.
Okay. Members, any questions on amendment number 2? Seeing none, we have no public testimony. Is there anyone wishing to debate? Seeing none, show that amendment adopted without objection. Next, we'll take up amendment barcode 243683 by Representative Buchanan. You're recognized to explain your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment, in previous committee stops, we've had a number of folks that have brought forward some concerns around iConnect, of which I've had the opportunity to take a 30-minute demonstration and spend folks with stakeholders both inside the process and out, of which this amendment's going to simply do a couple things. It's going to require APD to provide technical assistance and host feedback and listening sessions. It's going to require a report to the legislature on the iConnect functionality with options and associated costs for achieving sufficient functionality by the end of December 2024. Exempts providers from requiring the use of APD iConnect system for data management and retrieval services via iConnect for use and purposes under certain circumstances, and it requires providers to use iConnect for electronic visit verification. That is the amendment.
Members, are there any questions on the amendment? Okay, seeing none, we do have one comment card. Alan Abramowitz, representing the ARC of Florida, waves in support of the amendment. Members, anyone wishing to debate? Okay, seeing none, let's show that amendment adopted without objection. Finally, we have Fourth Amendment, barcode 620095 by Representative Buchanan. You're recognized to explain your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment's going to require a Type 2 transfer for the Unique Abilities Partnership Program from the Department of Commerce to the Agency for Persons with Disabilities effective October 1, 2024. It'll also make some conforming changes and matches. This amendment will match us up with what the Senate has already adopted.
Okay, members, anyone with questions on the amendment? Seeing none, we have no comment cards. Is there anyone wishing to debate? Okay, seeing none, show that amendment adopted without objection. We are back on the bill as amended. We do have some public comment. Melissa Mazeda, representing the sport coordinator, is here for information only. You're recognized.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I really like the intent of this bill. I do. I love the idea of attempting to take as many people off of the wait list as possible, and I definitely applaud everybody for their efforts in doing that. Because applying to APD can be confusing and frustrating. I love the idea of it being an expedited process for anybody in crisis. Part of the issue that I have expressed this before is the component of support coordination, which is what I provide. And currently, as it stands, there are not enough support coordinators or consumer-directed care consultants to currently work with the people that are already on the waiver. And right now, the Agency for Persons with Disabilities lists support coordination and or consumer-directed care consulting services as a critical need in 5 of 6 of the regions. So just appropriating money to take people off of the waiver, or I'm sorry, the wait list, is not going to do it. And we need to have a solid infrastructure in place. And the foundational service, which is the one that I provide, that every client needs to have when they're being removed from the wait list, is support coordination, or now we're going to be offering consumer-directed care consulting services as soon as people are added. So in order to have that solid infrastructure, we need to be able to hire the workforce of support coordinators up front to be able to receive those people. And currently that is not how the system is set up. Agencies like ours have to ask our support coordinators to carry more cases than they already do in order to try to accumulate a caseload and then hire somebody. That is backwards. We need to be able to hire the people up front so that they can receive those folks from the wait list onto the waiver and help connect them with the services that they need. And it takes years to become an adept, competent support coordinator. And one of the things that new support coordinators, which are referred to as mentees, need to have is a mentor. So agencies like ours have to have a seasoned support coordinator that is familiar with consumer-directed care consulting to be able to help these new support coordinators, mentees, understand this process. So we have to have a mentor with each mentee for a minimum of 90 days to go out, meet the folks, the families, assess the needs, and be able to connect them with the services in the community. And without being able to have the funding to hire the waiver support coordinators up front, my fear is that no matter how much money is appropriated to this particular excellent bill, that we're not going to be able to help serve those people. It's going to kind of bottleneck. So I just wanted to make sure that that was mentioned.
And I appreciate you saying that, and I will just say we're continuing to work on that issue. It's not enough to put money towards a problem if there aren't people to take it. You know, I mean,
Correct.
helping these folks is a skill set that not anyone can do. By the way, thanks for doing God's work.
Yeah.
So, thank you. All right, next up, we have Margaret Hooper, representing the Florida Developmental Disabilities Council, waves in support. Damaris Allen, representing Florida PTA, waves in support. And Alan Abramowitz, representing ARC of Florida, waves in support. Members, is there anyone wishing to debate? Yes, you're recognized. Representative Dunkley.
Thank you, Chair Fine, and thank you, Rep, for bringing this bill. I just want to say that I really appreciate how we're trying to reduce the times for the wait list for our people with disabilities. And one of the things that I was talking to one of my constituent who has someone with disability, and I vetted this with her about what this bill will be doing, and she was really grateful that we are looking at this head on to be able to service the needs and also the social aspect of what our kids with disabilities have to face. So thank you so much for bringing this bill.
Representative Woodson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair Fine. Rep Buchanan, thank you so much, and Chair Fine, for this great bill. Thank you for hearing the individuals with disability and finding ways to address their concern. We know that this population really needs care, and their families also are hurting whenever they've been on a waiting list and they cannot access the system to get services. Not only you are providing the much needed services to the population, but also you look at the system and try to make changes into a system that not only they have to deal with the issues of someone who have disability, but they also dealing with a system that is somewhat convoluted, and you are trying to put some measures in place in order for them to get the services. JJ, one of the individuals who came here and testified to us, he went all over the state and visited with us. I'm pretty sure today his family and himself, they are very happy because not only you helping them, but you're also helping other families who need this type of help. What I also like is the fact that you came up with the funding in order to support the bill. You know, sometimes we pass bill and it's like unfunded. We have unfunded mandates, but you're also putting the money in place in order to make sure that those families are served. I have a lot of individuals with disabilities in my district, and I've gotten a lot of positive emails about this bill. They are very happy. So keep up the great work, and let's continue to make changes for this group of individuals with disabilities. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Representative Hart, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just want to say to you, Rep, I have a niece with autism, and it took over 10 years to get her off the wait list and actually get services. So I know personally what this means to many families. And her mom also has some disabilities. So to do this for people who really need these type of services is just, it's awesome. And I applaud you all because it was difficult to try and get her services. She was almost out of high school by the time we were able to get services for her. So I thank you all for everything that you're doing for people with disabilities. It's important, and I appreciate you.
Member is Representative Trabulsi, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair Fine. Thank you both for this great bill. The one thing that really stands out to me about this bill is that in Florida, we're not always thinking about the masses and the big number. Sometimes it's the smallest numbers that matter, and this is such a small, unique group of individuals and families that need support, and it just means so much that you're taking the time to care for just a few. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to debate? Well, seeing none, I'm the prime co-sponsor on the bill, and I would just say maybe a small number, but it is perhaps the most vulnerable number. And you know, I mentioned it before. You all will remember we did a whole presentation on this issue, and I talked about, you know, that we're measured by how we treat the most vulnerable, the people who are in bad situations through no fault of their own. And I want you to know, my amendment, I happen to know because it's mine, those 316 people, we had to allocate $17 million in the budget. So you're not only voting to help those families. That's the amount of money that it's going to take. These aren't trivial amounts. But I can tell you, I often think about it. We spent $500 million on toll rebates. And I'll ask you after the meeting to come tell me if you've ever had a constituent come up and thank you for it. I haven't. And so, so, you know, we're measured by what we prioritize. And these are the neediest among us. And so of all the things I think that we will pass out of this committee this year, I think there's no more good than we are doing. While it may be for a small number of people, it is unquestionably a life-changing thing for all of them. So thank you, Chair, for running this bill, and you're recognized to close.
Thank you, members, for all your great debate and hard work as it relates to this subject matter. Members, this bill is going to increase access. It's going to reduce wait times. It's going to help families better navigate the system. And these are some of the families that are most in need. Members, if you're ever looking for a bill or a subject matter that'll reinvigorate your why in this process, this is a bill, this is a subject matter that'll do it. If you spend time, I've spent hundreds of hours with different stakeholders in the process, family members, folks that are caregivers, folks that work inside and outside of the system. It's really been an honor and a pleasure. It's been a learning experience for me. I want to acknowledge the co-author, Chair Fine, for all your great work, your leadership on this. I want to also acknowledge my dear friend, Speaker Designate Perez, for his mentorship and leadership on this subject matter. And I want to acknowledge all of you for all the great work that you've done in this committee as it relates to this subject matter. I also want to acknowledge the other stakeholders that I've had an opportunity to work with and meet through the process. And obviously, I'm thankful for all the help and information that APD and their team's been able to provide and all the great work that they're doing, as well as our Senate counterparts and making this a priority on their end as well. So with that, I close, Chair. And for those of you that would like to reinvigorate your why, I ask for you to co-sponsor this bill.
Sabrina, please call the roll on CS for HB 1271 and announce the vote.
Representatives Barrero,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Skidmore,
Yes.
Amnesty,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cross,
Yes.
Dunkley,
Yes.
Edmonds, Grant, Hart,
Yes.
Coster,
Yes.
Masula,
Yes.
Persons Mullica,
Yes.
Lakin,
Yes.
Salzman,
Yes.
Snyder, Trabuzzi,
Yes.
Tuck, Woodson,
Yes.
Yurkowski, Chair Fine,
Yes.
20 yeas, 0 nays, Mr. Chair.
Show the bill reported favorably as amended.